I understand why I was elected with such high voter confidence, and that is to solve Ghana's problems. Our economy is in crisis, and our people are suffering unprecedented hardships. It's not my style to lament and shift blame. My approach is to accept challenges and work hard to resolve them. My administration inherited an energy sector on the brink of collapse. The Akuffo Kitty project. We must end state capture. Mr. Speaker, I pledge to fight corruption head-on. Operation Recover All the Loot, oral.
If the president has any concern, his duty is to fix it.
Yes, my phone in a crabber once again. Emra Jumadi. So after say His Excellency John Mahama or this State of the Nation address no at 2 January no and some be in a French eba opposition party wamu egusua kasasanso and Afenyo majority omunso egusua kasa information bebre ewe but answer no commander mention some no yatwitwa so
of course
e se yekọ na yekotie nsem ne bia His Excellency John Mahama
of course
eri 2 da Ghana fo bi ede abasobode eko amana ebi mu so se dabi wa mo ntiase abusua ensem bebre ene wo minimsa ense yahefo ne bi nya time e monitaye ba quick one ketua bi wadi yatwitwa manaka ketua bi nturi yenko na enya botre na enchemra na eba information wache papa sanze opposition party womun so atiesie kira akwetwetwe nsem bebre aba quick one yenkom right.
The good people of Ghana elected me to office with a historic electoral margin of nearly 1.7 million votes. Separating me from my next opponent, giving Ghanaians the first female vice president, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. For the National Democratic Congress, NDC, that resounding victory is a selfless call to duty from a people who are tired of years of economic hardship and poor governance. That call therefore places an obligation on us and all who serve, including legislators from both sides of the House, to do our utmost with decency and humility to change the circumstances and the state of our country. Mr. Speaker, as I stated earlier, Article 67 of the 1992 Constitution requires that I give an account of the state of our nation to Parliament. I'm sad to report that the state of our nation is not good. Our economy is in crisis, and our people are suffering unprecedented hardships. Mr. Speaker, we will host a national economic dialogue on March 3rd and 4th. On March 11th, the Minister of Finance, on my behalf, will present the budget estimates for the financial year 2025 to this August House. These two events will allow us to present the real state of Ghana's economic crisis to the people. Mr. Speaker, it is not my style to lament and shift blame when confronted with challenges. It's not my style to lament and shift blame when confronted with challenges. My approach is to accept challenges and work hard to resolve them. Indeed, this is precisely what the people of Ghana elected me to do. I have therefore not come here to lament on the state of our country, though there's much to lament about. I understand why I was elected with such high voter confidence, and that is to solve Ghana's problems. With your permission, Mr. Speaker, and within the constraints of time, I'll take the liberty to elaborate on how we intend to address the numerous challenges facing us as a nation. Yesterday, February 26, 2025, marks exactly 10 years since I stood in this chamber, at this very spot, to declare my determination to fix Dumso, a legacy problem of power shortages. And Mr. Speaker, I fixed it. Yes, I promised to fix it, and I did. And I wish to place firmly on record that from January 2016 until I handed over the administration of this country on January 7, 2017, there was no power rationing or load management in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, today, inspired by the Almighty God and propelled by the massive mandate given to me by the good people of Ghana, I am moved to make a similar purposeful and bold declaration that I, John Mahama, I will fix the economic crisis confronting our country and reset it on a path of growth and prosperity. That I will fix the economic crisis confronting our country and reset it on a path of growth and prosperity. My government, working with you and every Ghanaian, will solve the challenges because we have developed the plan with our people's support. When I decided to run for president again, I did so because of what I knew about the state of our country. I was aware that huge problems awaited me upon assumption of office, but nothing could prepare anyone for the reality of the depths to which our economy and our governance had sunk. After initial assessment of the books, we have discovered that our economic problems are much deeper than was previously known. We have inherited a country that is broken on many fronts. The profundities of the challenges confronting us are staggering. We are saddled with staggering debts and glaring signs of almost deliberate and, in some cases, reckless mismanagement of our resources. Mr. Speaker, not even the restraints of an IMF program were enough for the previous economic managers to exercise prudence in managing our finances. After setting an inflation target of 18% by the end of 2024, the actual outturn was 23.8%, significantly higher than the threshold agreed with the IMF. The Ghana cedi continued its downward slide, losing 19% of its value against the dollar in 2024. It had already in the previous year lost 27.8% of its value. In addition to the public debt, which amounts to a staggering 721 billion cedis, several state-owned enterprises are also in debt, including the ECG, which owes 68 billion Ghana cedis. Ghana Cocoa Board, the hope of cocoa farmers, is also highly indebted. Its balance sheet indicates a total debt of 32.5 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, the energy sector faces significant financial challenges, primarily due to collection and system losses, non-compliance with the cash waterfall mechanism, and legacy debts. The financing shortfall has risen considerably to approximately $2.2 billion, or 34 billion Ghana cedis for 2025. And urgent measures will be needed to reduce it to sustainable levels and ultimately eliminate it. The financial sector continues to struggle despite the reportedly spending of 29.9 billion on the financial sector cleanup exercise up to date. Scant reserves were also left for debt servicing, despite implementing what may be considered the most severe and distressing economic policy in the annals of the Fourth Republic. Mr. Speaker, since we took office on January 7, 2025, we have upheld our commitment to a fiscal consolidation agenda with a streamlined government. We have eliminated unnecessary expenditures and reduced our reliance on borrowing. Our prudent debt management practices have led to a substantial reduction in interest rates. The 91-day Treasury bill rate, which was 28.51% on January 6, 2025, has dropped to 24.48% as of February 24, 2025. Similarly, the 182-day Treasury bill rate, which was 29.07% as of January 6, 2025, has decreased to date to 25.388%. Mr. Speaker, the 364-day Treasury bill rate has also moved from 30.41% to 27.30% in the same period. I'm confident that the sacrifice we have all made this year will significantly benefit our economy's health in the future. We look forward to a positive economic outlook as we restore macroeconomic stability, we encourage exports, we activate the 24-hour economy policy, we implement the $10 billion Big Push policy for swift infrastructure development, we rationalize taxes and foster inclusive growth. The goal is prosperity for all, which must be shared and not the prerogative of a select few. Mr. Speaker, in fulfillment of our 120-day social contract with the Ghanaian people, we have put in place the Planning Committee to host the National Economic Dialogue. This dialogue is expected to discuss the state of the economy and reach a consensus on the key policies needed to address the devastating economic crisis confronting us. It will support the development of a homegrown fiscal consolidation program, and it will highlight key structural reforms and policy priorities essential for resetting the economy and creating prosperity for all our people. I believe there's absolute wisdom in what our elders say, that two heads are better than one. Tikro and Kwejina. Consultation and consensus building have always proven to be better than unilateral decision making. It is my hope, therefore, that our colleagues on the other side of the divide will display love of country and participate in this national dialogue, unlike the boycott of the Senchi Forum in 2014. I humbly choose a different path of accommodation and cooperation with all stakeholders. We will continuously engage on important issues so that together, as a nation, we can reset our country and focus on sustainable development. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, together we shall build the Ghana we all want. Mr. Speaker, my administration inherited an energy sector on the brink of collapse. It was weighed down by unsustainable debt. This unfortunate situation has led to many independent power producers and fuel suppliers threatening to cease their operations. Mr. Speaker, listen to this. Despite collecting over 45 billion cedis in energy sector levies, ESLA, over the last 8 years, the outgone administration has left the Ghanaian people with an energy sector burdened with a staggering debt of 70 billion cedis as of December 2024. It is common knowledge that our economy is in dire straits, which is putting it mildly, because an initial assessment of the books we have discovered, after initial assessment of the books, we have discovered that our economic problems are much deeper than was previously known. The financial sector continues to struggle despite the reportedly spending of 29.9 billion on the financial sector cleanup exercise up to date. Scant reserves were also left for debt servicing, despite implementing what may be considered the most severe and distressing economic policy in the annals of the Fourth Republic, if not in the entirety of our nation's history. And I'm referring to the domestic debt exchange program. This is in stark contrast to our actions in 2017 before we left office, when we allocated $250 million to the sinking fund handed over to the incoming government to service debts, Ghana's debts. There have been claims that buffers were left for debt repayments, oncoming debt repayment this year. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, let me give you the statement of account for the debt service reserve account, which is also popularly referred to as the sinking fund. This fund shows a balance of only $64,000. in the dollar account. $64,000 in the dollar account. And 143 million Ghana cedis in the CD account. The repercussions of the accumulation of debt and economic mismanagement will require extensive work and sacrifice to repair. In the next 4 years, to put things in context for you, Mr. Speaker, in the next 4 years, our debt servicing will amount to 280 billion cedis. And this comprises of 150 billion for domestic debt and 130 billion in external debt servicing. Our catastrophic debt position has also severely impacted infrastructural projects that should have been completed. Currently, there are 55 stalled projects due to the default of debt and subsequent restructuring, with a total value of $2.95 billion not disbursed. The stalling of these projects is expected to result in a cost overrun of about 15 billion cedis. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding this gloomy background, I remain committed to leading this government and taking every necessary step to reset our economy, getting things back on track, and working with the good people of our country to build the Ghana we want. We'll also undertake the following key initiatives to revitalize the road sector. We'll reintroduce road tolls using modern technology. We'll rationalize the road sector portfolio to focus on high-impact initiatives. Mr. Speaker, we will uncap the road fund in order that it can accumulate more money to pay for road maintenance. Mr. Speaker, we'll minimize sole source procurement to encourage competition, competitive bidding, and enhance public transparency in the procurement processes. Mr. Speaker, we stand on the cusp of making history. The history of a country that prioritizes transparency and accountability as key elements of governance. During my campaign for president, I pledged, as captured by the NDC's 2024 manifesto, to take a strong stance against corruption. Mr. Speaker, we must end state capture. Mr. Speaker, we must end the purchase of state and public assets, such as land and other immovable assets, by members of the political class. Mr. Speaker, I pledge to fight corruption head-on by implementing Operation Recover All the Loot, oral. In that regard, Mr. Speaker, one of the first committees I established, even before my investiture as president, was to establish the oral committee on the sidelines of our transition. It is instructive to announce that the committee received over 2,000 complaints from the public and has since handed over a comprehensive report. This report has been given to the Attorney General for further review, thorough investigation, and eventual prosecutions. Mr. Speaker, the recent arrest related to the unwarranted payment of $2 million of Ghanaian taxpayers' money in the Sky train saga, and then also the National Service Ghost Name scandal, mark only the beginning of a comprehensive response based on the oral committee's findings. Mr. Speaker, let me state that my commitment to fighting corruption will continue with the establishment of a unit at the presidency and the maintenance of the hotline, where complaints and reports regarding graft and corruption will continue to be received and transferred to the office of the Attorney General.
His Excellency
John Mahama
and sir, a human started.
Yeah, of course.
And at this time also a mini business.
Yeah.
And not me program now, I make kase. This time, you know, fellow Ghanaians, fellow Ghanaians. For the past 8 years.
Yeah.
Another don't cook for the original piano, fellow Ghanaians.
Of course.
And say when they answer on TV.
Yeah, I got that.
I don't know some amount for
yeah. And one thing, so say program national. Now, a month for questions, I know Mubisa, Miss people say, former President Akuffo Baye.
Okay.
But yeah, who former President Nana Blanco Akuffo.
Oh, so we say no, or Jenna Home.
Okay.
Who said that defeat Nano D? ABC that.
Yeah.
Do you say no, Nana or Jenna Home?
Yeah, of course. Well, the right way. Say medawas na yedin komo kakra bi wo said you kan ya nim so Ghana for bebre enya access to program no ene bibia e course nti na do guso wa agina ho media yenso enya mre kakra na afi yennim nkomo nsem e course how wa mampani kirekire ni semu fae na the right mampani ansa na mekọ nsem nim no manya daji estadi na mahu ade baako mampani di mentality bi e hye Ghana for team opese o ka kire Ghana for say one ye e na aka bo mu bu o man no
okay
that is the idea and as a picture mampani e twa kire ye na right yemura ni nsem straight away me say we highlight of the program no e na yakwa akwahwe no
e na ade baako a man notice o say eno ankasa no de start ye as anytime bia no ayana o expose na do dan Akuffo Addo ene na ban
of course
ansa no de ono no nsema tuga
asem ni nyina no nti na kire se o ka ni saa o be hwe de esi atwam na do aban ne de no waka no na wa hwe ono no de no na wa ye comparison ti more or less no or ye direct comparison but or ye ni na way bia wan hwe wo se o ye comparison ti da bia no udi nkan tie na do de na wo bodi nkan afu
baby to say where the me knew him kind.
Yeah.
But then baby to say energy sector no.
Of course.
Who said and say now man for complain say light na edundum.
Yeah.
Mahama buy 1 month nie light duma na edum.
Yeah.
But I think say and the hono ma Ghana for.
Yeah, we address issue ni nyina nti ye be di hon komo. Na the right me pese me share say free baby na edi nkomo ni free ho. Na ye monitor because in some doors.
Yeah.
Baby me pese me share say free say mampani agina parliament. In a state of nations address no. Wa share Ghana for boss wa bra owo aban the first time no okogina parliament share Ghana for boss dum so na aban wa jetum na o take charge na o responsible for that na obesovo na ogide se osovo ye ansa na ofra konya so na o say economy na asai no enne o sai agina parliament ashe Ghana for boss economy no edru se omfra konya so no ono obesovo economic issues no ansa na wako
enu ntini eto abama no
point ni
enu ntina Ghana for enyina de ewe shame mu say onra no meboye
point blank right I mean no ya atwen because sawasha economic mess any economic hardship no na abro Ghana for so and because of that ena overwhelmingly omoto aba e bin sida edma president mama any the MPs no in this case say mampani ba no ba accept challenge ni say ampa this is the problem reality ni majama me ho mesolve it is in the right way and when tin awo ho
but ana manfo so bisa say problem no e da ho dada eno tin e to abamantu ba en ka solve na bia jai complain no
well the right e be better say mampani me ne ya adwen obema Ghana for who the current situation ya wono na ba inherit and say nei or catch Ghana for ye the 700 and I say over 700 and something billion Ghana cedis. Na say after 4 years, ye hwe ye kan ye hwe na say ye kan no. E da so e ye sa aboro sa na so atia. Eno ne ye begina so dia judge mampani say mampani ba no obetu say. E na say na waye, say no dia ba be ka ho. Eno ne betu am ye fair judgment of the situation. But say wan kan no kran kire ye. Na otwa ye ntro na say ojai to ho. Na oye ne dia ochena bi say bas ye ba be di hu nkoma bu hu nkonta. Afobuo bi hobia ne di bebu no.
One thing me say I say o kasabia no a oputu blames on Akuffo Addo aban ni wia na wasa I say o ye confidence problem no betumi solve won say mampani adwuma was start no problem obetumi solve ya Ghana for there
director ade ba
ko say no I say meka no be ka say o ye overconfident
ade ba ko ni say wahwa problem na nkasa ne say exams ne twe understanding the problem one face and I solve another face. But mampani at the time what yakunya so no odi nkomo bi so na na do Dr. Mudbami adenti o mo kan sem bebre no o mo ntina akonya no so do o mo nim ho asem so o ka o matena so a ankomo hu ha wo be ka o mo nsem enti watena so akonche asaba no meaning se ne ma bebre ho a onim ba bia na e kodada and the direction no enye new emfa no nti I agree say the confidence level no e wosoro na e wosoro pa na mum me wogidie bi say ne nice bibi so he thinks problems bi ho a na omo ba bi o so omo de fa a wo de fa ho anka solve e na amfa ho nti say fa ho de a e ye no the one thing any example bu ha Ghana ye de ka bebre obi anim say kem many ye in the State of Nations Address any various report were about recently no there came over 700 billion Ghana cedis and what other sectors cocoa board e kada ho energy sector ECG e kada ho but so hwa mampani any oral meeting komo bi say sika amanfo awia ne aban sa se japade ankrofo awia say ye ka say ye gia say sika no nko ano ebema ye over 21 billion dollars it meaning say they have trust and confidence say ombetuma gi some of these monies na omo dey solve problems no nti eno ka ho bi and man peni so much confident e wo na ban na point is mu a was started and mind you wakati cost
answer or the tudasa or say I focus on solutions not blame
nti asem ni nyina no o say man peni e kasa no o ka bia o say a set up committee o kasa bia o trem so me ministers no ya hye adwuma ase ya hye ase ye ho adwuma on kasa e na on say compared that to MPP past administration no e na de nti o man mind no e covid na e ba ye ntia just like that na e ko oh ye hwe de e be ko ye bompa ye say afeni nkwa wie no economy ni be ye but in this case or can in a way say or you so much confidence a problem me mess solve problem ni but I'll solve it and the writer in your blame games no I agree with him say on blame obia they all can oboa mo me nka so oboa there was one incident here na amanfo nyina budget say Ghana ye na account wa ye de dollars aguma ye di tua ka no sika dem kra no e $64,000 pe enti niam bebre ho a say oboa e Ghana bo me nka so oboa no kra enti nya blame games o ka no kra what blame obia na
na o ka say o so vidum so ansa na ofra ban mu but nana do dan ko Akuffo NMPP aban so say 2016 omo ban na dum so no mba be solve ye enti we say no one na ka no kra
well the writer me pese me bisa question mabusua me yesi abusua fie mu no wo say wo na wo si ye kwan be na ofa so sie wo say obi anko busa mesi na o si dan no wo na wo bo ne pa anwea ne blocks ne cement nyina wo na ato ye onua ba ko so sori se ono no solve ye ade o se time amusi abusua fie no na na oti kurom ho kuro na abusua fie no so no ono na eto wo na wo nti kurom ho ntinya wo na wo si ye but ono nso ntimi nkyere ye cement ba ko oto ye ontimi nkyere ye mesi no ofo na adwuma in this case President John Mahama the writer ye wo evidence of equipment oto ye power plant oto ye or different money buy a marry plant any other planter or decide ye say yemfa ko energy sector problem e da ho no the writer under another administration yembisa ye ho say e kwan be na another efa so ko dum so up to date no MPP member any bet imagine ba bi a kire mu say ade another ye ye ntia dum so twa ye ni o de say obi wo evidence say another koto afidie 1 afidie 2 afidie 3 na buy na dum so solve ya the person should put it on record.
I said 2016 omo buy na dum so na solve you
the right obekaya Dr. Mundwamia in an interview said me kind year me remfi me ho a allegedly me mfa ne say bia na me remfi me ho na a despite media one of our media houses no and of course I interview o ka say light no omo bizan say mo buy na President Mahama asolve dum so no Dr. Mundwamia say no kro na wa solve na mum so we create problem na we solve a ye mma wa baso o say President Mahama already 2012 aba no na dum so ni Ghana at the time all ba be sore no na dum so sa kwa adan ye mma na baso nti Dr. Mundwamia understood say President Mahama solve but ono ne time ne ba into solve a eni se e bo na baso say na change we dey ye ono a
but answer Ghana e kan e wo no so
right e kan dey tribute
e kan so pa di mesha Mahama say o wa bayi e kano a won tete so
e kano so pa na woni se
e ka Akuffo adoma ba be boato na no de dodo
na woni ma de ba kwa na ma ne interesting e ka in the next 4 years if free enne e kosi mfie na ye di anim no e wo se ye tua as a country e ba boabo na kokosi 280 billion Ghana cedis ai wo se ye tua na wo hwe sika na mampani no agya e wa account sum $143 million yeah and order in CD account editia kam and $64,000 oh yeah dollar account no na che say e me ho ba bia even enru 20%, make 20%, but 10% of Irunti is up to Mampenini say, or Becano Cratcher, and I said, or Chenabi, a kind of time or so. As you can try, Obinga said, or no Quabaye, and Wabba Brosaka in a go. Ghana phone him, a can be free. Anytime I shall say by the right, a candidate, the Hobart, Obey, Yabeku. I know, yeah, I know, Asana. No, the writer. One sector being so, let me perceive Jim Komaka. Okay, on corruption. Okay, yeah. I did about qua said the wow cannot say a man for share no so pounds to Twaba and my president Mama. No question. And T. Unsa, when dear, a year, and said the highlight and a year to Tuno, to Tunis, a state of nation address, the highlight and a year. Now, corruption knows a man penning come with dear our honour, and never brosana for a expect to say, obedi whom come, but from all our time, ever be seen. Mampeni wama bibia ye clear say obi a oye involved in corruption bia no ye nche no, and I agree with him. And no ya ade ba kwa bema Ghana for apenasem because corruption e kai da we say ye jisikan bebra we will put it in sa e ka no na ye dia solve free ho na ye books no aye balance na ye okay and national service so e ho nkomo bebre ye freezing crofo account na ye seize o maja pade ne ade a whole lot of issue and free ho ba
free SHS no so.
Yeah, me share State of the Nation address. Now, many will be now together. Okay. Now, President Mama, I can't say, Ojira Parliament, stating emphatically, say free senior high school on Chomudano. It will be said 2028 MPP in your campaign message. Because the message on MPP media houses and they say, President Mama, over free education. Okay. Now, social movement, time I bring you more honey bino. That road didn't go be so. Mampani mama wonya do ye so kwa o se ye ko engage public and Ghana for kodi nko no ni nyina ne se o pese o twa free education nti twamo preko Ghana for hunto omo nti mampani be ne clear say ya the rata e be ma Ghana for a o ma dwe ye o ntanta o ma dwe o so di amanfo kan ye no kre ye nse dem kudi mampani ne eye on free education they will all agree say no free education has come to stay. It is a basic education now e ye free maybe atwam no you cannot terminate that policy no e wo se e wo ho na e ye adwuma and mame mama pani aba so se was technically ye nyina ye nda se on kan da so obetwam but o kan say ya say the wa o kan no se asam e ba fofra e trend chen se o correcting no including kan correcting in tema e boa wa and no so some say free education no so na nkomo bebre wo kira mse o mo pese double track ni nyina no e free system ni me ade
okay but I say usa omoko parliament won so no I think say minority for no nothing so my bomb black.
Yeah, of course.
And a majority for no so white. Yeah. But Bibia Koye.
But minority for no so problem kakra. Minority for no problem ni nyina o how ye ba kope. O mo ni so mampeni ni bo o ma ban na chi, aban na ko ye no. Okay. Nti duru ba bia o se mampeni so bo o ma ba so kakra. Okay. A whole lot of issues.
Okay. Me ntwa no ye nyina we so na ye nkonkotie Afenyo market. And say after Jumadi no ono so kasaye. Na watu japa tu de kitua bi yenhwemra na ba e be san to aso afio.
Our side take this opportunity to congratulate you and wish you well. Second, Mr. President, on the 21st of February 2013, you notably said, quote, Mr. Speaker, the meat is now down to the bones. This was on the occasion of your address to Parliament. And you said that the meat is now down to the bones. This was at the time, Mr. President, that you were President of Ghana. And you had served as chair of the economic management team of your own government. Yet, when you came to this house, you lamented on the same state of the economy that you had presided and re-echoed the point that we are left with just the bones. Mr. Speaker, the President again says that he has delivered less ministers. But it is clear that his strategy is if less, more divide. You have appointed few ministers, but more and more and more presidential staffers and more committees. Mr. Speaker, the President again.
Honorable members, please.
The President again came to this house with a familiar story, the usual lamentations. He packaged it in a language as though we have a new beginning. Mr. Speaker, if the President has any concerns, his duty is to fix it. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency, the President, has announced to us a cabinet of 19 with only 2 women. The daughter of the founder of this NDC, Senator Rollins, is missing. Haja Ladi is missing. Helen Intosu is missing. Where are the women in this government? The Vice President.
Honorable members, please, order.
The Vice President is part of the government, and we are seeing only 2 women in cabinet, and the Vice President is sitting there. In percentage terms, we have only 10% of women in cabinet. Mr. Speaker, the President again, as part of his lamentations, is telling the nation that through some arrangements, they have been able to do 2 things: pay domestic bonds that matured, and then also they have successfully done some financial engineering to pay some energy sector debts to keep our lights on. My question is, Mr. Speaker, has the President any budget? This is the budget he inherited, the revenues he inherited that he has used for this purpose. The same government is condemning. Mr. Speaker, he has today told us that we have 2.2 million Ghanaians unemployed. But what he has forgotten, that in his administration, in less than 100 days, all we know is sack them, dismiss her. Mr. Speaker, on the streets of Accra today, the youth of the country are saying that Mahama Bakun termination bebre. Mr. Speaker, we are happy to hear from the president that he is going to launch the Nkokonkitinkitin. We are happy to hear this, but we are curious because only yesterday we heard of Akuffo. Mr. Speaker, the president talked about the school feeding program, and in his submission on the school feeding program and the status of it, he said that they are now feeding the children well. What he didn't say was that at the time he assumed office, the previous government had paid every single one of the caterers. What he failed to tell Ghanaians was that President John Akuffo, who is seated in this chamber, was the one who initiated the school feeding program. He did not acknowledge him. Mr. Speaker, what are we seeing in this government? The same old stock. The same old stock. There's nothing new. There is nothing like transformation. Only yesterday, Mr. Speaker, the youth of the NDC besieged the headquarters of the NDC demanding for jobs. Where are the jobs? Mr. Speaker, today we are seeing the 184 or so filling this chamber, the 183, plus the independent MPs who have caucused with the NDC. Today this house is full. But Mr. Speaker, Mr. President must know that the majority is frustrated. They don't come to the chamber. What we have heard today fails to acknowledge the strides made in the last 8 years. Mr. Speaker, the president failed to acknowledge that he came to meet a peaceful and a stable country. 2, the president failed to tell us that he came to meet a public and civil service that the government, in spite of all challenges, was able to pay consistently. Mr. Speaker, the president failed to tell us that in spite of all the crisis, consistently, the Akuffo government was able to increase wages. And the minimum we did was 11% as compared to his 10%.
Honorable Minority Leader,
Mr. Speaker, to conclude.
Your time is up.
Afenyo Matkins.
Of course.
But I think, sir, Afenyo Matkins, Ghana for we can say that you might know form. But then a duba biswa. The son was what you man.
Yes.
Also good pressure, Sanwa.
Of course.
Na majority na show mudi.
Yeah.
No, my head, you man.
Sir, the ne oye, you know. A climate, and now in the last State of the Nations Address or Koye no ama Kofi Boa ono so dia na all dey ye na nado no to dey bia e fan na omo make say dey ade ne be but on Afenyo markets ni nkomo bibra na odi no am say some of nkomo a odi ni bi Mampanin sa termination of appointment.
Oh yeah, also on the street of Accra today, the youth of the country are saying that Mahama Bako termination bebre. Mahama Bako termination bebre.
Yeah, on say in the State of the Nations Address, about say Ghana youth will be ni adwuma. Over 2 million youth ni adwuma. Nti ado na Afenyo market so person or reply Mampanin so em say aban wo crowd buy no. Amanfo be ayafo madwuma wa yi wo madi.
Maran sesa idea na aban yi nkrofo adi no.
Yeah.
Obi so beka say e necessary because Akuffo ado o man fa kwan paso.
Yeah, and a foul. Yeah, I agree. And I did a cross on Matthias and said, Afenyo markets Ankasan him said, the past finance minister, Honorable Adam Okon, or your budget, Edimam Penny Mama. Wabrana ye baba tuaba, inti na inimni po bedi Penny, but now was a prepared budget for the first quarter of 2025 at Toho. Inti budget na yen. Na ye on Abaya Juma Fwa, a war data. Inti say in December ya tuaba baby. Okofo abedwuma efofo froba wa bra ye din kai o musika sem budget wa to ho January February March no mambani ni nko isika foforo we e no de betua sa nkofo ne ka nti Germany na ho after March no se mampani ni present ono ne budget ya mampani nim se e kwan da ha nti betima for nipa 1 million nipa 100,000 na o mo de sa nipa no ho eka ahye budget nim na o ma for madwuma na o ma start adwuma
ena we kura no ye nim se now no Akuffo ado ka say omo fa necessary for 2024.
Yeah, of course.
2021 40 22 23 24.
Yeah.
Omo nyina tifie. Enti adana unyam pepe ho no wo de yenim say from 21 ba nyina omo nyina tifie to the John Mahama. So oba no ama me fa adwumafo bi mu a oba be fi so a ye be soku pressure ama no. Adana o pepe ho say me fa adwumafo 8 years, 1 to 5 to 4. America can
na otwemi nu na o de fed me for nti we de I agree say Afenyo markets just the normal minority distraction na minority leaders na omoye no no bia na oguso ye
and Afenyo or see if the president has any concern his duty is to face it.
Yeah, the right about enom se mampani ansa no dada was mampani raising the concern we no mampani said na parliament ka say emphatically or Shagana for the problems or best of I think Afenyo markets any so di hunkomo bi Mampenina addresses I issue that our castle will fix it but reality no and na Ghana for people say yes State of the Nations Address assemble kwa Ghana ha mentime ho ase da no State of the Nations Address e chair the current state ye twamfoni a kire Ghana for say and Ghana gina branie
okay
enti ye gina bere na ye pese mampani kama ye hu enti se wo se mampani wo concern bia concern ye gina bere no so hwan na dia ko gina ho be bia ye gina nei no se ye se ya kikire nan ne ensa hwan na dia ko gina ho that is the problem na pese enti ye gina ho bia ye ko do dia be gina ho no ena nipa wo no so obesane ye no ye hwe hawa obesi asane ye Afenyo markets onti ase mampani ansa no it is very simple answer
yes also.
Yeah,
but then Mahama Yaraka the India and say intimo.
Yeah,
my aboma penny the no do na ntino Mahama Yaraka the India. And I say honestly to just say and say President Mahama brought us a message of hope.
Now say adeba kon say true be told. Say Ghana han say wa mostly some penifone address say ya na emanipa bebre enye gidie ne nida so. Now with this State of the Nations Address no encouraging a man for hope said and you may change with a matter of time. Nti yenhwe se de besi akọ se ampa mampani obi kan say nsem ne kan ayana emre e chen ne ye yenhwe how mampani e besi solve all these problems and ye di hu nkomo yenim se nsem bebre e na asi but e kire brano so ni benya ndaje na sectors no the din nkomo no one by one after the other e tutu ne spare parts na fi obi anso so ehun se de isi koye
okay nji ye wi ana
yeah right I am for we no isi
okay quick one ya de musie ko e be san ba biem ya kra ifo nyina